watching NotesIn9.
Hello and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm Oliver Busse. Episode 202, using Grunt with XPages development. Get some extra time with automation. Okay, first, before we start, some words of introduction. This is, especially for me, a special episode of NotesIn9, as it is my first as one of the new producers of this amazing show. As David announced in his blog some days ago, the future of NotesIn9 and the content is changing a bit. The major change is that David asked for help and support in producing all the upcoming videos. And I'm very happy that he asked me also and John Jardine to help him out. And of course, we said yes, we will do this. And yeah, this is my first show. So, regarding the content of NotesIn9 videos, there won't be so much change in that for the future. But as we are now three producers, we can maybe separate the contents that we will be working with. So, as David already said, he will focus on new things in his daily job, and therefore he might become more focused on that. What we will be doing, and John Jardine also will deliver content different from that you are used to NotesIn9 videos, the typical NotesIn9 videos. And for myself, I am still looking and working with XPages and Domino related stuff. So if it comes to other technology, rocket science or whatever, then John and David are the guys to talk to. And yeah, the XPages stuff is on my side. But regardless of what you are going to share with us and others, of course you can talk to all the three of us if you have something you want to share. And we are looking forward to your contributions. We still want you to contribute to NotesIn9 to spread the knowledge, to share it with others, and everything that you found helpful in your day job, in your business, or in your spare time is worth sharing with others as long as it helps. So, you may know me as a contributor of NotesIn9 before. Now I'm acting as a NotesIn9 producer, which is very cool. This is my contact information slide if you don't know me already. But I think introducing you, the person who is contributing in the show today, is more important. And this is even more important because it is a new contributor to NotesIn9, and his name is Patrick Kwinten. He's doing notes for so long now, and he has a great blog in which he describes regularly very cool stuff. Recently, he shared something dealing with jQuery data tables, which I also used before, which was great content and very interesting. He's on Twitter at Patrick Kwinten. He has contributed to OpenNTF, which I admire, of course. And yeah, most important, he is for hire. Check out his LinkedIn profile. Check out what he did in the last years and what he is searching for, and maybe we can help, to find him a new job. So, some words from me before I hand over to Patrick's demo is to mention that he will use Node.js and NPM installed on the machine to do his demonstration. Node.js and npm is used to install the various components he is showing us, and you can download Node.js and the npm installer from that URL. And his demo assumes that both is running on the local machine, on the machine where you are developing on. So no separate machine, no server, no remote or whatever. It's all running on the local machine, and it's very tiny. I use Node.js and npm, and at least one of his tools he's using, which is Bower or Bower. I don't know how to pronounce it. And yeah, it's very interesting stuff that he shows us. He shows us Grunt, which is also a very tiny add-on for the whole Node.js ecosystem, and Grunt is used to automate tasks, especially when it comes to file manipulation. The files that will be manipulated are directly from Domino Designer, which are in an on-disk project. So you got the idea that you can also use these great automation tasks even in your Domino development. So without any further ado, I hand over to the demo and yeah, to Patrick.
Hello and welcome to this video, in which I will talk about using Grunt with XPages development. First, something about myself. My name is Patrick Kwinten, and I've been working with IBM Lotus Notes since release 4.1, I guess we're talking about 1996 here, and I've been working at multiple companies in multiple countries. Normally you could consider me as a typical corporate developer, but at the moment, due to circumstances, you can hire me. I have a profile on LinkedIn, so please visit that and leave a message there and we'll get in contact. I also have a blog called Quintessential Notes, on which I blog about application development, web technology and development tips. I'm an IBM certified application developer, and I also have some projects running on OpenNTF. So what is the problem that I want to talk about in this video? If you want to use Font Awesome in your XPages application, you will notice that the runtime has problems with the version appendix to font references, and basically that will lead to a network error of 400 bad requests you will receive, and your icons will not be displayed properly. So how can you fix that? Well, you can remove the appendix in the URLs manually. There are multiple references and multiple CSS files, so this is a bit of a hideous task. You can also create an additional CSS file, one without the version appendix, and then use the cascading nature of CSS, so you basically override the original CSS from Font Awesome. But I would rather go for the last option, and that is to automate the first option using Grunt. Which tools I will be using? I will be using a terminal. I'm using Node.js as a JavaScript runtime environment. I'm using Bower, that's a package manager to find the Font Awesome library on the internet. I will be using a Git client to access the Font Awesome repository on GitHub. I'm using a Grunt, and especially the Grunt command line interface. And I will be using some Grunt plugins that are Nodes package manager modules that are already written for me. How does my setup look like? Well, I have to install the tools mentioned before. I will be writing some Bower files in which I specify my dependencies, for example Font Awesome, and the location I want to have them installed, and that's mostly the web content folder in my on this project. I also write some Grunt files. Also here I specify dependencies for Grunt plugins, and I also have to write a Grunt file where I write my tasks. Some basic terminology. G stands for global installation, so not in my working directory, and save dev will save the package in my dev dependencies property. When you are writing tasks for Grunt, you will notice that often there are many roads that lead to Rome. So there are multiple scenarios that you can follow to come to your solution. For example, you could overwrite or copy files, and you could also manipulate files by performing find replace actions in the content of the files. And that one I will be using to fix the problem with FontAwesome. When you are running tasks, you can run multiple tasks, so tasks after each other, and you can also specify them in a specific order. Also handy is to register tasks, so then you can run multiple tasks in specific orders via a shortcut. So a quick summary before we go to the demo. So what do I want to achieve? Can I really save time? Well, okay, the initial installation and writing the Bower and Grunt files will cost me some time, but I can run them at each new deployment. I can run it at each new version of a library, and multiple developers can run the same task. So here I see some good opportunities to save some time at the end. But probably more important is that I also can avoid causing errors. So each developer follow the same script, and there's no discussion about which actions there should be made. So that being said, let's go over to the demo. Okay, let's go over to the demo, but before we do that, I want to give some credit to Brad Belesaitis, who mentioned on his blog on the 7th of April 2014 about the problem with FontAwesome and XPages. And he says, okay, if you refer to resources, you make a reference to a font icon, then nothing will happen. And if you look in your developer tools, then you will notice a 400 bad request, which is due to the version appendix for each font reference in the CSS files. For example, you have it here, the question mark V, and you have the ampersand V. And what he says, okay, basically what you have to do is just remove those references from each URL to fix the problem. Okay, so that we will be using. Which tools do we have in place? I'm using Node.js, I'm using a Bower to download the FontAwesome library. I'm using a Git client to access FontAwesome repository on GitHub, and I'm using Grunt, where I have specified my task what to do. This is my working directory. I've got here a couple of files. Let's take a look at them. I've got a Bower JSON file in which I have declared my dependencies. So I will be downloading the latest of jQuery, and I will be downloading the latest version of FontAwesome. And this has some complication because I don't know what version tomorrow will be available for FontAwesome, so I have to check that also. I've got a Bower RC file where I specify, okay, in which location do I want to have the libraries installed, and this will be on my on this project web content libs folder. I've got a package JSON file for Grunt, in which I have specified my dependencies, and finally I've got a Grunt file, and in the Grunt file I have my tasks defined, but we'll come back to that later. So I can open this in the terminal, and if I check if Node is installed, I have that, but I fear Bower is not installed now, so I have to install some tools. So first we'll install Bower. When that is installed, we'll install a Git client, and luckily I'm on Linux, so that is much easier. So that is done. Okay, and I want to install some command line, the command line interface for Grunt, and here is my working directory. If I paste that in, I'll notice that here a folder with node models is added, and here is my first plugin. Let's go back here. I also don't have the libraries available, so we'll say Bower install, and now those libraries have been collected from the internet, from GitHub, and they've been installed in the web content libs, FontAwesome and jQuery folder. And if I look at the files, I see, okay, I've got a less and a SCS folder, which I probably don't want to have on production, and here I've got the CSS folder and the FontAwesome one with the version appendix on, and the same rule applies for the minified version. Okay, here you see, okay, there is the version appendix. What I don't have yet is the plugins that I want to use, and you can find them on the Grunt site on the section plugins. For example, we'll be using the clean plugin, but also the text replace one to replace files using text, and if you open them you see how you can install them and how to use them, so that's all well documented. So we have the Grunt command line. Okay, so let's install some plugins then. And the last one, if I go back to my node modules, so multiple are being installed, and this is the last one. Let me show this. Paste. Ta-da! Okay, we're good to go now, but before I run my grunt command, grunt task, let's take a look at the grunt file first. So here I've specified a function. I say, this one is required. I've got a basic initial configuration in which I load a package, which is a JSON file, which I read, and I will be using some properties from here: the name, the version, the author. I've got a log task where I will be referencing to some properties from that package, from that resides in the JSON file. And here I've got my first grunt task, the copy task, and the name copy that comes from the npm, the notes package that I have been downloading. That is the Grunt contribute copy plugin. We also have the Grunt contribute clean and the replace, Grunt text replace. So this clean is here a task, and replace here. But just take a look at at the copy task. We see that one task can consist of multiple subtasks. So I've got task 1, task 2, etc. In task 1 I just take a grip on a file and place it in the font awesome directory. Task 2 does basically the same. Here I take a whole directory and place it in another directory. I've got a clean task which will remove the less and the SCSS folders, and then most important, I've got my replace task which consists of 2 subtasks. In case I would know my version, for example the current version is 4.6.3 and in Bower I have said okay, don't use latest but release 4.6.3, then I could use this specific task and say okay, look at this pattern or this one, and then replace it with nothing. But I don't know that, so because I've said just give me the latest, instead I can run a regular expression. So I say the question mark v is, and then take a version number and replace it with nothing, and the same goes for the @%. With that in mind, so with these commands in place, I have here loaded the npm packages or tasks, and here I'm registering tasks. I've got a default one which is the subtask task 1 under copy. So if I just run grunt, then this one will run. I can also register specific tasks, for example fix font awesome copy, which run the whole copy task and the clean task. So that is these lines of code. I also have registered a task on the fix font awesome replace, which only run the subtask remove any version under replace, and then the clean task. So that will only run these lines of code in a specified order. And finally I've here registered a multitask log and run it multiple times just to get some basic output. Here I've defined some scenarios with which I could run, but I'm mostly interested in this one. So I copy this one, I paste it in my console, and just let's do a quick check. I've got the libs, font awesome CSS folder, the CSS file, and here I still have those references, which causes me a headache in XPages. So I run this one and bam, here we've got some output, who is running the show, and we've run the remove any version task for replace, and both tasks under clean. So if I go back, ta-da, my 2 subfolders have been removed here, and if I go in, if I check the style sheet, then ta-da, all those version appendixes have been removed, and that is what I wanted. So going back to Brad's post, I fixed the problem of font awesome in XPages. Going back to my presentation, okay, what did I wanted to achieve? Okay, I wanted to achieve to fix the problem, but I also wanted to achieve by using Grunt that I could save some time. So if I can do this now for each deployment, for each new version of Van Awesome, I collect the latest library via Bower, and then I run my Grunt task. And by doing so, or by doing this by a whole team, I assume that I will be saving time in the future. I also want to achieve that less errors will occur, so I don't forget one reference, or I forget a CSS file to strip off. And I want to do that all my developers do that across my team. So I guess with this demo I demonstrated that those goals can be achieved by using Grunt in XPages development. I thank you for your time.
And that was the demo. I thank Patrick for his contribution and his time. If you have something, this is the contact information from NotesIn9, the well-known contact page, of course. If you have something, drop us a note. And yeah, thank you for your time.